Well, President Trump slamming the political correct culture of the UK in the wake of those London terror attacks, tweeting, quote, "We must stop being politically correct and get down to the business of security for our people. If we don't get smart, it will only get worse." This was, of course, a hot topic of debate at today's White House briefing, where Deputy White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders reiterated President Trump's position. Roll tape.
He's not concerned with being politically correct. He's concerned with protecting the American people. I mean, that's the bottom line here. And, you know, he's going to take whatever step he can to move that agenda forward.
Of course, a lot of this came because London's Mayor Sadiq Khan asked his citizens not to be alarmed by armed police and military. But the question, though, is should the British simply, quote, carry on? Here to discuss, Frank Gaffney and Gina Loudon. Frank, you know, historically, the Brits, stiff upper lip, carried on as usual, despite all of the bombings from the Hitler and the Nazis, and it served them well, you know, and it's legendary at this point. Are they too common right now, though?
Well, I think that they should be alarmed, not calm, in the face of what is now, I think, unmistakably not simply acts of terrorism, Charles, but an insurgency. And that's being visited upon more cities in the United Kingdom, and I suspect more attacks of this kind, and probably worse, are forthcoming. And the sight of armed police, it's no big deal here in the United States. It's something still of a novelty in the United Kingdom. And of course, soldiers on the streets trying to protect their populace is the sort of thing that shouldn't simply alarm them. It should move them to action. And I think that's what's seriously missing at the moment and very much needed. Yeah,
we got our jolt in New York City after 9/11, Gina, of soldiers with machine guns standing around. And of course, the idea is, hey, let's go after these people because they're your enemy and they're coming after you.
Yeah, and imagine if their citizenry were armed. Charles, this is war, and for this mayor to have just come out and said, you know, stay calm and carry on, basically, giving people this mantra right now when they're in the middle of a tragedy, to me, I don't know if it's just the strongest kind of denial, whether it's political correctness to tie into a lamestream media narrative, or whether it's just plain corrupt. Thank God, Charles, that we have a president who comes out authentically and calls it like it is, because I promise you that every American sitting around in middle America was thinking exactly what Donald Trump was saying about these keep calm and carry on comments by the mayor. Yeah,
there's no doubt. And certainly I think at this point the British citizens at the very least would love to see their policemen armed. You know, my son goes to college there, and thank God he actually left Friday for a trip to Switzerland. But Frank, having said that, Theresa May did change course a little bit, saying enough is enough, signaling that she's going to go on the offensive in some shape or form.
She did, Charles, and that's, I think, probably, on balance, a good thing. It's in the question of which direction is she going. She starts again, unfortunately, by sort of reciting, almost like it's incantation, that Islam is a religion of peace. And the people who are engaged in this kind of activity are extremists. They're trying to hijack this religion. And I think while many Muslims in the United Kingdom, certainly in this country and elsewhere around the world, don't want to live under Sharia or impose it on anybody else, what is unfortunately true is that the authorities of Islam say that this doctrine, they call it Sharia, is the same thing as their faith. They say it is the true faith. And Sharia is not peaceable. It is not consistent with Western freedoms and values and civilization, for that matter. Certainly not consistent with our Constitution. Right. So for her to say we're changing course, but it's still based on the same fundamentally flawed premises, I think is not going to make the difference that Britain needs, and frankly that we need to see here as well.
Real quick, Gina, you think then that will anything change there then? Do you think they have the real true political will to make a change?
I don't see it there yet, Charles. I really don't. But I do thank God that I do feel like the United States has taken a turn where we are definitely going to be a lot tougher under the leadership of President Trump. And I think that's where middle America has wanted us for a long time, and that's where we're headed. I'm thankful for that. Hopefully, Europe will take note and make the changes that are necessary.
All right, guys. Thank you both very much.